Hey everyone, Mike Hidalgo here. Thank you for joining us on another FCP Euro DIY. Today we're going to be working on a 2015 Audi B8 A4 S-Line. Today in front of me we have a service kit that we list on the site. This kit comes with everything needed to revamp your car, whether you're working on it over the weekend, you just bought it and you want to make sure everything's nice and fresh, ready to go. As you can see, we include an engine air filter from MAN. We have a Corteco cabin air filter. We have some brake fluid, type 200. We have some iridium spark plugs from NGK. We have our Liqui-Moly 5W40 with our MAN oil filter, and this also comes with a drain plug and crush washer if you're draining from the bottom. This service kit is applicable to every B8 and B8.5 Audi A4. Today the vehicle behind us is an A4 with an S-Line, but as far as the oil change goes, the spark plugs and the engine air filter, every 2-liter turbo in that generation is going to be using these same exact parts. So if you have one of those vehicles, be sure to stay tuned. Today we're going to be focusing on the oil change kit portion of this service kit. We have our 5W40 light cloth oil, along with our MAN oil filter, a new crush washer, and drain plug. But before we get started on that, let's take a look at the tools we're going to need for this job. For this job, we're going to need a couple tools. Today we're going to be using a 3/8 ratchet and a torque wrench. We're going to be using a Phillips head screwdriver. You can use a flathead instead if you don't have a Phillips head. You're going to need a T45 for your oil drain plug. I'm using a small extension to use my CTA 9180 oil filter removal tool. And then a nice to have is a CTA no spill funnel. Now we have the tools covered for this DIY. Let's get started on this oil change. All right, my good people, we are underneath the Audi. We're going to go ahead and remove 11 fasteners that hold in this belly pan or skid plate, and that way we can access our drain plug. So I'm going to use a Phillips head. You can use a Phillips head or a flathead screwdriver to get these off. You're going to pull it back towards the back of the car and just set it to the side. To remove the drain plug, you're going to need a T45. So I got my T45 here on a 3/8 ratchet. So I'm going to break it free. Then should be able to remove it by hand. And we're going to let that do its thing. Once it's done draining, we'll reinstall the drain plug with our replacement. Now that we've gotten the majority of the oil out, I always like to clean the surface before I install my new drain plug and crush washer. Again, you're going to need a T45 for the removal and the installation. You always want to start them by hand. You don't want to risk cross-threading them. We're going to go ahead and snug it up with our ratchet. Now we're going to torque it down to 30 Newton meters. Again, T45, 30 Newton meters. Beautiful. Now we can get our splash shield back on and then proceed back up top to finish up this oil change. To reinstall your shield, you want to key the front portion of it back underneath this front shield. Just like that. You also want to make sure the ends slip underneath the parts on the bumper. And then if you get one started on the back end, it'll pretty much hold itself up. Boom. And just reinstall the remaining 10. Beautiful. Let's head back up top. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove our oil filter. I always like to put a couple towels or rags, whatever you have, around the base of the filter when you have one of these style cartridges. Just in case you drip anything, you don't get it all over your engine block or your alternator, whatever may be surrounding it. To remove our filter, we're going to be using a CTA 9180 tool on a 3/8 ratchet. You can see it's not that tight, shouldn't be that tight. Once we free that up, we can get it the rest by hand. And just be careful if the engine was ran before doing this oil change. Things are still hot. don't want to burn yourself, so just keep that in mind. Beautiful. Now we can use our towels that we set here prior, just clean up our area for a new filter. You don't need to go crazy with it. You just want to make sure that A, your surfaces look clean, and B, the old seal came off with the old filter. And then it never hurts to apply a little bit of oil to your new filter so that the seal snugs up nicely and doesn't bind up. I'm going to start this by hand. Nice and snug will do. You don't need to use a socket to retighten this, as it's not intended to be incredibly tight. That's how you run into problems. With the filter all set, the last thing left to do is fill the engine back with oil. We're going to be using our CTA no spill funnel. This is not a necessity, but it is a nice tool to have if you're doing oil changes at home. The capacity for these motors is just shy of 5 liters, so you can top off as needed, but we're going to go ahead and use most of this, save a little bit, check it, and then top off. Now our funnel can come off, put our oil cap back on. Beautiful. Last thing left to do is put our cover back on. Again, this just has a couple mounting points with rubber grommets on this end that hold it in place. You can kind of feel it when you align it. Just pop it on. Boom, baby. And there you have it, my good people. Another DIY in the books. Again, oil change is pretty straightforward. You want to make sure you do it about every 5,000 miles. Keep that engine happy. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments on what we did today, leave those in the comment box below. And if you like this DIY and you want to see more like them, please consider subscribing. We make new ones all the time. As always, thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.